You can start whenever.
Yeah, we're good. You can go.
We're good. We've been going.
Sure.
Hey, my name's Max Gregory. Originally, just give you a little bit of background information, right? Recent college graduate, SDSU, a lot of big things happening. Just a little bit of background, born and raised in Jakarta, Indonesia, lived there 16 years, and then for the past 5 years now, just been kind of doing my own thing here in San Diego, studying, enjoying life, finding friends, and kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. I think the biggest thing right now in my life is trying to gauge kind of what my next few years are going to look like. You know, I came from so far away to a place to go to college and to get an education, and in a place that's so foreign to where I was born, where I was from, that I really oriented my life towards living here and, you know, like having a life here and finally establishing that kind of community for myself. Because even though I grew up in Indonesia, I always knew that I kind of wanted to go here and I wanted to study here and that I wanted to kind of live life here. And now that I've been doing that for 4 years now and it's coming to an end, it becomes a harder question now that I'm leaving this place. And I think right now that's one of the biggest concerns, is so much of my life was devoted to coming here and to finding a life for myself here and doing well here. And, you know, considering everything, I think I've done pretty well for myself at school and with friends and everything. And it's really hard to leave that because my whole life I wanted exactly this. I wanted to come here and do this and figure out my life here. But now that I'm going to Europe again for school, it gets harder to leave kind of the life that I have here because I've already built another life for myself. So it's like right now I'm not more so like repeating the process, right? But in a way I'm kind of reinventing myself again. And I think that could be really scary and anxious, and it's something that I thought that I'd be a little bit more prepared to do because I've done it before, you know, like redefining myself, moving. Moving sucks, man, that's for sure. But I think more so just who do I want to be in that next stage of my life, and is it worth it kind of leaving everything that I have for myself here when I promised myself like I was gearing up towards the life I had here, but now that I'm leaving it's a little bit more iffy. So I kind of oriented my education to facilitate really what I thought or what I know that I'm good at. And, you know, early on I've always liked reading, I've always liked writing, and I've always been pretty good about it. And my dad is a huge advocate of politics and justice, and I think that growing up in Indonesia and kind of seeing what life was like there in contrast to how people live their lives here really made me feel privileged for just being able to see that and to think that. And by that narrative, I kind of went to school with the idea that, you know, if I can get a foundation of how to help people and the institutions that kind of deliver on that, I was going to be a member of whatever kind of helped that narrative. To me, it ended up being kind of the law, and that's kind of why I went into political science and pre-law in college, kind of trying to contextualize what my life in Indonesia was like and then translating that into the values that people have here and how I could maybe change that or aid that in any way. Naturally, I think I was very interested in technology and kind of the new digital era. I don't know, it just kind of piqued an interest of mine. And so my career was really trying to facilitate both the legal aspect of everything and the implementation of technology and kind of the future and that kind of intersection of the law and technology. So in that sense, it's kind of like ambiguous kind of how I want to like apply that into towards the law, because there's like different sectors of the law in like the tech sense. There's like the business side of it, but there's also like the more challenging sides of like how to regulate kind of the digital infrastructure that's kind of ahead of us. And I'm a blank canvas on this. I'm kind of going into law school with the idea that I'll figure out how technology and the law kind of like interacts with each other, and how I could kind of make a career out of that while still kind of like applying the values that I have taken from Indonesia and from my previous life into what I want to do here. The complexities of that in the US at least is that the law here is very like, it's state by state. There's like certain qualifications that each state needs to apply for the bar, and so my main hurdle right now is trying to figure out where I want to live, because if I don't know what tangible kind of like career or aspect or legal side of that discipline that I really want to hone in at, I don't necessarily know where I want to live yet either. So to me, I'm orienting my life toward just studying what I think is interesting, and however that applies to where I want to live, I don't know, but that's the main hurdle, is figuring out where I want to live and where I want to base my career off, because the law is so specific to the country, specific to the region, and less so like the theoretical perspective that I think I'm interested in. That's the main hurdle in kind of figuring out where I want to go, and the anxiety that comes with the decisions I'm making right now, education-wise and career-wise. And there's a whole uncertainty to like what I would mean in the market in Europe versus what I would mean here. And especially since I'm doing a very like specific, specialized, like pretty intensive, costly too aspect of education, it's that much more of a risk, right? Which is a little kind of anxious to say for itself, but I think I'm a learner at heart, and I hate when people say that like they hate school, and that school was so hard and that they were grinding so much for it. Like yeah, but I'm more of just a consumer. Like I'm just trying to understand kind of the world around us, and for me to say like I really want to get out of like education and just into like the workforce and to like live in that manner, I would say like no, I'm okay. I'd rather try to like study and figure out what I think is interesting and what I think is going to help people, and then narrate my life to where that fits in, and to help people and to figure out my own passion within things. So to kind of contextualize where I am now and where I see myself, what I see myself thinking about in the future, and kind of what goals and frameworks that I had in mind. Right now I think I'm at a stage in my life where things are really exciting, yet pretty foreign to me too, and alien, which is really funny to say on itself, because foreign kid experiencing foreign things. It's very alien to me to be thinking about what my life is going to be like in Europe, because I have no way to contextualize that at all. So that part of my life is very exciting, very anxious, and I really just kind of want to get there. I think that kind of is a double-edged sword though, because that's another thing that I've been thinking about right now in my life, is how much time like we have here. Like it is very crazy to me that 4 or 5 years has flown by, and like I haven't even gotten to say the things I wanted to say to people, like do the things that I thought I would do, and really experience or digest what we've experienced here for the past 4 or 5 years. And I don't think that any of us are going to digest it in a manner that's we're gonna reflect on it later on in the future in way more in a way more profound manner than I think anyone else right now is going to think about their life. At least in the situation that people like me are in right now, trying to move on from college and leaving the college kind of situation and their friends and the community that we have built for ourselves here. It's happened just so incredibly fast, and in a manner that has just like progressed so rapidly, and like in a week or two I won't even know what like life is like here anymore. And that to me is something that I'm struggling with, and it's also poses the question of like living with regret. You know, I hate saying that, you know, people live with regret, and I try never to live with regret, and I usually don't say that I live with regret. But it's interesting to think about right now because there's so much that happened these 4 years, and uh, I don't think I don't think I've digested it enough yet. And that's gonna be something that I think I'm gonna look back on being like, damn, I wish I had more time. And I think that's everyone's kind of thing at the end of whatever they're doing is, man, I wish I had more time. I wish I could say the things that people I wanted to say, and I wish that, you know, I remembered it a little bit more fondly or in a manner that was more apparent in my life right now. But albeit all things, I think right now it's more exciting more than anything because, you know, on the way up, we're progressing, we're moving, and I think that's a value that a lot of people don't have. They tend to get stuck, and they tend to like want to stick around to what they want to do because it's comfortable, and they don't want to ask the questions that they're too scared to ask themselves or do the things that they want to do for themselves. Those are kind of current reflections on my mind right now. In regards to the future, I think I just want to be happy knowing that what I'm doing at the moment is right and fits with what I want to do, and I'm happy with doing it. I want to be able to say that I really used my studies well and that I honed in on what I wanted to do, and to be confident in my career choices and to not kind of be unstable in where I am in my life, because that's the main thing for the past 21 years is where am I living. You know, I've bounced from A to B to C, thinking that I want to live here or not, and I still haven't figured out like where I want to live and where I want to base myself in. So I want to be at a point where I can confidently say like, yeah, this is the spot, and this is where my friends are gonna like come see me and chill, and this is where I'm gonna fully kind of immerse myself in what's happening. And I think my life has kind of been episodes of where I want to be and where I want to go and the people who I want to meet, and it's all just kind of bottling up to a point where I hopefully I'm gonna figure out what I want to do and who I want to meet and be comfortable in where I am.